My name's Paterson Domino. I'm a porn actor and a sex worker. I do a lot of work with sexual health advocacy and public speaking. For me, a typical day is fairly unusual, but it often starts out with lots of communication about different groups that are doing sexual health rights and sex worker rights, and seeing if I can sort of bring the two together, get conversations on the same page. The stigma that sex workers and porn actors across the board, I mean, we are talking also about people with webcam and people with phone sex operators. The stigma that we encounter really is a physical threat, and it can manifest in a whole number of ways. I would say a great place to start with looking at this is to say, okay, we should make attacks on sex workers a hate crime. Also, we should be looking at businesses that exclude sex workers or try and fire people that have been sex workers and say, actually, you as a business are being discriminatory on this. Is it actually your position to judge someone on their sex life or their previous incomes or their actual extra earning capacities when it's not something that actually does reflect on you as a business? Get that conversation happening. I mean, sex workers are a marginalized community, and we need to be able to come together and to look at that and say, okay, we need to have better rights here. Another great way of addressing stigma towards sex workers is to actually look at the decriminalization of sex work. In the UK, we have a partially decriminalized model. So what that means is it's legal to be a sex worker and to purchase services from a sex worker. However, we end up only working by ourselves, and that's the only sort of safe way within the law that we're allowed to do that. However, we're aware that sex workers are actually frequently working together in the same buildings because they want to know that there's friends or someone out there who, if they called out for, would come and be helpful for them. So looking at the law here and saying, okay, actually we need to increase it from this partially decriminalized model to full decriminalization, to make sure that actually if someone is taking safety measures for their own choices, they're not punished for doing so. We're able to then look at the law and say, okay, what things should we be punishing? We should be punishing maybe acts of actual trafficking or assault towards people or robbery. These things are actually already defined issues within the law. There's no need to specifically single out sex workers for their work. One really interesting thing about us as sex workers is we have a really rich history. We're not just talking over the last 30 years where activists have been doing things like protesting, even in churches. And in Lyon, we had the women of Lyon joining the sex workers and sort of mixing in and saying, actually, you can't tell who's a sex worker, who's not, we're just human. But there's individuals like Laura Lee, who sadly passed away actually 2 years ago now, who've been fighting consistently to say, actually, it's the sex workers that know sex work best. And we need to learn to listen to sex workers before you can consider helping the community. If I could give a gift to the adult film and sex work industry more generally across the globe, what it would be is the ability to be able to talk to one another without defining barriers, because currently we have so many different groups saying, okay, well, you're a sex worker and I'm a sex worker, but I'm a better type of sex worker. You have sort of a hierarchy of people saying, well, I don't have penetrative sex, so maybe that makes me somehow different, or I'm in porn, so maybe I'm more glamorous. And actually all of these issues, even sexuality issues, all of these issues just put up barriers, whereas the real challenges we face are against all of us together. I would love us to have a commonality in our conversation, because it's only by working together we're able to actually establish rights for all of us.